Meantime, President Trump says he will, quote, substantially raise tariffs on India because the country, he says, keeps buying what he refers to as massive amounts of Russian oil, selling it on the open market. It comes ahead of a new Friday deadline on tariffs for the rest of the globe, a deadline that's been kicked back at least twice already. ABC's Alex Prochet joins me now to break this down a little bit more. And Alex, India is now responding to these new tariffs from the president. What are they saying?
Yeah, they're responding to that 25% tariff that the president announced last week and also his threats today to increase those tariffs specifically because of India's reliance on Russian oil. The president targeting Russia and India because he's grown increasingly frustrated with Vladimir Putin and a lack of a ceasefire deal with Ukraine. But India's response here, it's a pretty detailed 6-point response where they say that they began essentially importing oil from Russia because they say that supplies had been diverted to other trading partners, including the European Union. They also go on to point out that this is specifically meant to benefit the cost dollar analysis for the average Indian resident. And then they point out, as you know, concerns have been raised by both the United States and the EU. They've pointed out instances where both the U.S. and the EU have still rely on Russian goods in trade. And so it's kind of pointing to.
It seems like India no longer lying, and my heart goes out to the Hindutva fascists, because I feel like they probably thought that like Modi and Trump were literally the best friends on the planet. Like no one is a closer friend to India than Donald Trump. So like this is a unique predicament for all the BJP boosters. I suspect they're having a hard time coming to terms with this. Yeah. I didn't believe in magic until I saw my dogs turn into snakes type shit.
A little hypocrisy, as they put it. But ultimately, this Indian response calls the U.S. targeting them for tariffs unjustified and unreasonable. And a lot of these are major trade partners. You think about 50% tariffs on Brazil, 39% tariffs on Swiss goods, 35% tariffs on Canadian goods not protected by the U.S. MCA. This is something that could have drastic impact on American consumers. We've heard a lot of big box retailers say that those tariff prices are going to be passed on to the consumer.
Alex Prochet for us.
Chris Hayes made an interesting point on this, but like when Trump was talking about how many dollars they're collecting in the form of tariffs, he said something along the lines of like, this is the first time I've ever seen in my entire career a Republican politician, like a popular Republican politician, actively celebrating how much they are gaining in additional taxes from the American working class. It is truly interesting. Like Americans genuinely think that this is just a cost that like companies are incurring, and then it doesn't actually go up. It doesn't translate the cost going up in general. It is, of course, a regressive tax, for the record. Oh my God, he's been cut in half. Yeah, I unsheathed my katana. We're the ones paying those taxes, you dumb fuck. Yeah, boom. Look at that tariff revenue spike. Says Gunter Eagleman. You go to buy a bed on Amazon that was made in Vietnam. The bed is now a 20% tariff. The company either has to raise the retail or eat the hit. So they raise prices and pass tariff along to the consumers ad infinitum. If the tariffs are predictable, a retailer or wholesaler could buy ahead against the tariff increase and slow walk the hit, or hope tariffs don't come to a pass. And that explains a big chunk of economic activity at the start of the year. You can't do that into perpetuity. There's only so much warehouse space, capital, the cost to borrow the inventory, or in many cases, the code dating and perishable nature of the products in play becoming limiting, like with coffee. Tariffs make sense if you do this strategically. You do it predictably to build up or guard a sector or beef up control or diversify in a supply chain. And if you're willing to pair it with industrial policy to that effect. That's not at all what we're doing now. The opposite, really. As I've said over and over again, if there's no trade to protect, then you're not doing trade protectionism. You're just fucking doing a regressive blanket tax on consumers, which is literally going to hurt the working poor A lot more than it hurts the wealthiest people in American society. But good luck explaining that shit to the average fucking Trump supporter. Oh my God.
Late Sunday night, President Trump defended his decision to fire Erica McIntyre, the now former commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Trump accused her without evidence of rigging the July jobs report.
We'll be announcing a new statistician sometime over the next 3-4 days. We had no confidence. I mean, the numbers were ridiculous, what she announced.
The economy added 73,000 jobs last month, which was fewer than expected. May and June were revised downward by over 250,000. Asked if there was evidence the numbers were rigged, National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett said the revisions are the evidence.
There have been a bunch of patterns that could make people wonder, and I think the most important thing for people to know is that it's the president's highest priority that the data.
That's one new job right there. True. But also that's one layoff plus a new job. So I think it cancels itself out. That's a net zero. But don't worry. Next labor report is going to be a good guy, a Trump appointee. So you know it's going to be like next month's jobs report, 1 million jobs. You love it. You love to see it. America's hot. The Bureau of Labor Statistics said 1 billion jobs. It's hot, hot, hot. Too many jobs. Far bigger number than anyone can count. No one has counted such a high number, believe it. The Bureau of Labor Statistics literally came out with phenomenal numbers, just like they did for you in the month of July and June, and then revised those numbers also right before the election. As a matter of fact, a couple days prior to the election, they revised the numbers, and you fucking shit on them in the same way, but this time it was against Biden and Kamala Harris.
On so Biden's economy. Phenomenal numbers.
But the jobs report that came out 4 days before the 2024 presidential election was revised downward. It showed
exactly.
In August and September of 2024, 112,000.
Dude. And Trump literally addressed it. Trump addressed it. He was like, oh, Biden, he's so stupid. He's so stupid. Kamala, she's also stupid. We have stupids running the country. We can't do it. That's why the labor jobs, they lied about the jobs, and then they lost all of the jobs in the revised numbers. We are running too many stupids.
And fewer jobs were created than initially reported. William Beach served as the head of the BLS during Trump's first term. He called his successor's firing totally groundless and a dangerous precedent, warning if any weak numbers are released by Trump's next pick.
Everybody's going to think, well, it's not as bad as it probably really is, because they're going to suspect political influence. So this is damaging. This is not what we need to have.
He like turkey shit. You know what I mean? We're turkifying. And once again, this is like, no, it's fine. See, the numbers actually show a very different reality. Trust. Like some of these institutions are supposed to be independent because you just need to know what is actually going on. You need to know. You need to know. The markets need to know what's going on.
All right, Weejo, while we have you, let me ask you about this. The Trump administration is now investigating former special counsel Jack Smith. What do you know?
Like, what was the argument that I don't fully understand what the argument was like. Were they trying to say that like they actually beefed up the numbers so that they can make Trump look bad when they revise it? Is that what it is?